Welcome back to the channel, and also welcome to a game called Muck. If you are a regular on the channel, do not worry, this is not going to be a game that I'm covering often. I don't know if I'll ever do a video for it again, but I had to bring this to your attention because this game has such an interesting story behind it, and it does actually put AAA development companies to shame because this game Muck is only available on Steam. It's about 75 megabytes to download, it's completely free to play, it's got okay looking graphics, they're not bad, it can run on low spec PCs, you can find players with pings, there's now maps and stuff, the game's getting updates, it's made by someone called Danny, and it was all made based on Danny being called out, why don't you try making a multiplayer survival game? Or is it that you can't do that? So Danny decided to go and make one. I'll leave a link to Danny's video in the description. But I've been looking into this game a little bit more because I've noticed it's become quite popular. It's been sitting on there's a website I use called Steam250.com. It's trending games. It's been sitting at number 1 for a little while now. And I looked into it. I actually played a little bit of the game. And then I thought I would look into the background of it and exactly why it is popular. Because right now, at the time of me recording this, it has over twice the amount of players concurrently than a game like Outriders. This game currently has 11,000 concurrent players and it's peaked at 16,000. But on Steam, I don't think this is all because of the game itself. Danny has over 2 million subscribers on YouTube. But the game itself, that released 3 weeks ago from me recording this, is overwhelmingly positive, 33,000 reviews in 3 weeks of release. But not only that, today the game got updated and there's now a story to it and a final boss. This game is, as Danny would say himself, it's Minecraft meets Risk of Rain. It's a roguelike meets survival. And basically what you do is you start off in this world, you pick up a rock, you smack some trees, you get some wood. You eventually build up your little base, you can actually make buildings and stuff. It's got that building element to it as well. But in this game, it has progression in terms of every night you survive in this game, it gets increasingly more difficult in terms of the monsters that spawn. And I felt that was actually quite a good balance. But not only that, it has multiplayer as well, so you can play with other people. The multiplayer, from what I've heard, runs very smooth. The single player doesn't really have bugs. And this was made by one person, and I've heard it took about 2 months to put this together. It's procedurally generated, so every single time you play, it will feel different, it will look different at least. And as well as the typical Minecraft stuff where you're gathering resources and upgrading your armor and your weapons and stuff, you have chests which give you abilities. You can have better defense, you can have increased movement speed. But the one thing is that roguelike that comes into it, and if you die in a single player game, you're dead. You lose absolutely everything. Whereas in multiplayer, if you die, as long as there's one person alive on the server, as soon as it reaches the next day, all the other players will respawn. So it's punishing, especially if you're playing by yourself, but that's the reason I brought this game to your attention. I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad game or a good game. I did enjoy what I played, and I know that graphically, based on the platform it's on, it's not going to be a game for everyone. It's not even available on Mac or Linux, it's only available on Steam. Like, it's exclusive to Windows. But it's the fact that this is completely free to play, it's small in file size, there's absolutely no harm trying it. It was made by one person in what I've heard 2 months' time, and the game runs smooth. There's no bugs. It has multiplayer that works. And you have these big companies that have like 300 plus developers. They're spending years on these games, and they can't get them to work. Part of that could be due to the fact that the bigger AAA titles are much more complex. They're a lot tougher because there's so much more coding and stuff. But to kind of balance that out, they have more people, a lot more people working on these games. So within 2 months, you get Muck, free to play, you load the game up, you jump in, you do a survival across several days or whatever. You have different mobs that spawn, you have your survival aspect of needing to eat and stuff. There has been 3 updates since the game launched, and it's all being made by one person. Then you have a £60 game that's been worked on for 5 years instead of 2 months, worked on by over 300 people compared to 1, and a lot of the stuff comes out buggy. The only thing, the only reason I can think of is because it's a much bigger project. But then not only that, Danny is an indie game developer. Doesn't work on big projects. These people that make these £60 AAA titles are experienced in their line of work, making AAA games. So why is it that regardless of the game that comes out, Outriders, Dark Alliance, Anthem, The Division 2, they've got bug after bug after bug, issue after issue, progression blockers and everything in the game that just ruins the experience? Why is it that these games that even have humongous budgets as well, the investors, the publishers, everything, give these developers hundreds of millions to work on these games and they come out a broken mess? Look at Dark Alliance. The AI don't even move unless you tickle their armpits. I did a video which was basically an angry rant on that game because I said avoid it at all costs. It's going to cost you £35 or $40 and you're going to be playing against brain dead AI unless you bump up your difficulty, then they basically sponge more attacks and they hit you harder. But not only that, across every platform there seems to be, at least for some players, frame drops and bugs and issues and stuff, and just the way the game works isn't fun. And then we also have another game, Fast and Furious Crossroads, and wow, that game looked terrible, played dreadfully. That was apparently worked on for 3 years. So I'm going to end the video there before it starts getting repetitive and me just asking the same question based on different games. I'll end it with asking you guys, why do you think that a game that's free to play, very small in file size, made by one person, can run smoothly, multiplayer works, no issues with it? Why do you think that happens and then we get the other end of the spectrum where we're having to pay £60 plus, even up to £120 for an Ultimate Edition of a game, and it just comes out and it's not even worth 10% of its asking price? What do you think goes wrong, whether it's like the developers being rushed by the investors, like the higher ups? Do you think it's the developers who are actually inexperienced? Like, what is it you think? Let me know all of your thoughts below and I'll see you in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed it.